The Divine Feminine provides a key and doorway to awakening your soul. Hello and welcome everyone. Andy Bryan here from The Soul Pathway. And today within this video, I'm going to be speaking with you about the role of the Divine Feminine in assisting us with awakening on our spiritual journey as we connect with our soul and become at one with ourselves. The Divine Feminine provides a pivotal role in awakening each and every one of us, whether we are men or even women. And within this video, we are going to be exploring that. But first of all, I wanted to speak with you about women. And women, if we look around the world, around us right now, you only need to notice that there are more women awakened than men on their spiritual journey. And I personally believe this is because they're more so connected with their feminine. They're more connected with their intuition, their emotions. And these are a big part of awakening our soul as well. Because when we are disconnected from our emotions, disconnected from ourselves, then we are very much more connected with our ego and the constructs that live within that. So we become disassociated from ourselves and society as a whole as well. So this can prevent us from awakening to who we are. Now let's look at men and why men, in many ways struggle with the process of spiritual awakening. Because men are very much connected with the ego and the societal structures at which we live by. Structures of society, culture, religion, those values and beliefs passed on to us by our parents. Men are very much more connected to this than women because they have taught to become that masculine. And the masculine, when it comes to a conditional aspect, is very much that warrior who puts on that suit of armor. And as they put on that suit of armor, that protects them from their emotions and protects them in life as a whole. The warrior and the masculine has been taught to go out to war, to fight to get what they want in life. And we all know driving with a bulldozer in life doesn't always get us to where we need to go. And so what happens is when we're so connected with the societal structures and beliefs that we've held in our mind for so many years, we find it so difficult to connect with that inner feminine, and the inner feminine that is asking us and inviting us to awakening, because the feminine isn't forceful in any way. The feminine guides us, invites us in, and allows us to feel, allows us to connect. But we as individuals, whether we're men or women, we have to be the ones to walk through that door. And when I said at the beginning, the feminine has the key, we just have to open that up, open that door up. So that doorway is in many ways always open for us, and the divine feminine is providing us the key. We just need to bring down our walls, from the warrior's perspective, and allow ourselves to feel, allow ourselves to connect, allow ourselves to love ourselves. And this can be very challenging because men aren't used to connecting with their emotions and connecting with their feelings and even with their intuition, because society has taught us so many years that our emotions make us weak. We are not men if we're not strong. And the fact is, I've said this to many people, I speak to my clients about this all the time, is that there is so much strength in vulnerability. And when you can truly embrace your inner emotions and your feelings, you can stand in your power and strength. And this allows you to really become who you're meant to be. But the divine feminine often awakens us through love and through divine connections. and whether they'll be, soulmates, or even if you're lucky enough, you could say lucky, to meet your twin flame. And when you meet them and when they show up, they open up your heart. You have no choice but to embrace this love. It just comes in like, a beautiful feeling of love that opens up your heart chakra and exposes who you are. And that is what is amazing. We look at all these societal structures that are falling by the wayside at the moment and that are crumbling. This is also teaching us to be vulnerable, teaching us to connect with what we feel is right and true for us in our soul, so we can awaken But that's obviously through that divine feminine. So if we look at, these soulful relations that I spoke to you about, these soulful relationships offer you the opportunity to embrace unconditional love, love without conditions. But what we tend to do with that as well is we tend to bring our ego in play and place conditions on that, so that we don't end up fully awakening our soul initially. I will say initially, because it is a process of awakening. Because if I speak with you about my soul pathway process, you've got your old self, and your old self is where you are living through these constructs of the ego, and you're living by the way at which you've been taught to live your life, either by your parents or society at whole. And when you're awakened through, whatever awakening experience you go through, you're being taught to not only connect with your emotions, but have trust and faith in your journey, that things will work out according to plan. And then again, that is going through the feminine, because the feminine is inviting us to have trust and faith that all will be fine on our journey, if only we trust and have faith. But these divine relationships are beautiful in the way that they show up. Unconditional love is given so that you can be vulnerable and you can be safe. But you have to be the one in order to take that key, unlock that door, and open it. Because often fear comes up from within us, and fear is in many ways an emotion that comes from ego. There is no doubt that it does protect us in many ways. But when it comes to this beautiful unconditional love, what is there to fear from this? The only fear that comes from this is the constructs and beliefs that we've placed in our minds. And I'm not going to say that it's easy to break them down, because when we have this wall and this wall comes up and it's been up for many years, to awaken, we have to just take out one brick at a time, put it to the side, one brick at a time, put it to one side, allow ourselves to be vulnerable, allow ourselves to become more and more connected in our own experience and what it is that we're going through, and noticing that everything will be all right as long as we connect with our soul and we start to love ourselves unconditionally. But that wall is only a wall that we create in our minds, and in many ways it's an illusion that we have to, become disillusioned by in a strange way. Finally, I wanted to mention on this video about the fact that through our ego and through our conditioning, we connect with our shadow. So our ego holds the conditions of society, culture, religion, values and beliefs passed on to us by our parents. We've got all these conditions that make and shape us each and every day. And some aspects of those conditioning are very good for us. They are positive. That's why we need to bring in positive aspects of the masculine and leave behind the negative. But when we look at the negative aspects of this conditioning, this is where we go through the shadow, because the shadow is full of our suppressed and repressed emotions that we've held on to for years and years. So when we think about the shadow and the feminine here, what tends to happen is when we go through the ego and we're awakened, the ego is awakened through conditioning, and we start to access our shadow. And our shadow is those suppressed and repressed emotions, as I've said, asking you to visit your wounds, visit your pain, and even visit your suffering, so that you can bring your darkness to light, and you can love, honor, and accept yourself, because awakening is also a process of shifting from darkness to light, but also it's in integrating the ego, the self, and the shadow, so that you can become whole and at one with yourself. So that's for me how the feminine supports us in awakening to who we truly are. So I hope you found this video to be valuable and useful. But what I'd love to do is hear your insights regarding this. What is it you've gone through with your awakening in terms of connecting with your inner emotions, and even those suppressed emotions, so that you can awaken to who you are? How did you integrate these so that you began to love, honor, and appreciate yourself? And if you would like any support in doing this, I provide self-love sessions and also spiritual guidance and mentoring sessions. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below this video. And with that, I will say thank you for listening. Take care and much love. Speak to you again soon. Bye for now. Awaken your soul pathway and shift from self to soul. Visit www.awakenyoursoulpathway.co.uk. And if you found this content to be valuable, please be sure to subscribe.